Hello guys and welcome back to another
今夜何もわからないわけじゃない。ヘビは確実に誰か一人の正体を知ることになるから。
episode of Raging Loop. Yeah, so we're in the middle of the first feast of the third route. We're werewolves. It was a little rough last time since they were all accusing me, but I think that just comes with the territory of being a new person, so they're naturally suspicious of us, which is unfortunate, but we gotta play through it. Luckily, Hashimoto has kinda slowed the Lynch Haruaki momentum a bit, saying that we should wait, which is good for us, but it also shows that Hashimoto has some good game theory in him, so we have to definitely be careful of him. But yeah, it looks like we're at the endish of this feast, and we'll probably choose our first victim today, so that'll be nice. But yeah, let's just continue. Also, Nosato might be the snake because he's been playing way more aggressive than he usually does. He presented the likely disadvantages that could emerge and provided ways to turn them around. It was really effective. Most here didn't want to kill anyone yet, but had to balance out the pros and the cons of doing so. If they were told that the negatives could be made up for, they had no reason not to cling to that. Crap, I fell silent. Silent people were considered to be passive accomplices to the wolves. I had to say something. Yeah. I think it's important to stay semi-active. You want to not have the spotlight on you, but you also don't want to seem to be like a background character and just fade back. Generally, but I mean that typically kind of worked for some other people, so I don't know. But in general, if they're all gamers, but they're not all, so.
狼側は当然優先的にカゴ者を殺したいわけですよね。しかし今日処刑を行えば狼側がカゴ者を選ぶ選択肢を狭めることにもなります。
Right, yeah, if you find a random villager, they have a better chance of randomly sniping a guardian.
特に本格的に容疑者に選ばれた人がカゴ者だったりすれば、その人は自分の正体を明かさざるを得なくなる。人は嘘をつかないし、狼は互いの正体を知ってるので、狼は確実にそれがカゴ者だとわかる。しかし現時点でカゴ者が名乗り出るメリットはゼロです。まだ誰も何もカゴによって情報を得ていないから。
You're just gonna have to let a kill happen. Random lynching's generally bad.
そう。確かだね。もちろんカゴ者を引く可能性は低いですが、ただの人をくくってしまえばその分狼が殺す。
That's a good point. That's why you generally don't do it in games.
狼でない人は今13人。1人いなくなれば12人。ここから狼はカゴ者を選ぶ。
母数が減ればそれだけカゴ者が当たる率が高い。
やっぱり初日にくくることは弊害が大きそうに。
They're learning game theory. You love to see it. It's not like this will carry over to another route, but actually you don't love to see it because we're the wolves. We don't want them to be thinking as gamers, so it's a mixed bag, but it is saving us at least day one. I actually thought that this way of handing the wolves was good for the humans. Handling, I think, not handing. But yeah, it is that's what I just said. It's not great, but it's good on the short term at least. From what I could tell, Kairi-san and Haru-chan would be found out sooner than later. Maybe. They do have passive protection since Yasunado is a big player. He probably would have some I can't think of the word. But he wouldn't want to suspect his mom and Haru. And then Haru has the passive protection with the teens, and she has the passive protection with her son. So even if they're not the strongest players, they're still in a decent position. I had my looping and was generally a stumpbait, so I wasn't as shaken by the situation as they were. But my situation wasn't exactly solid. At least he admits it. I don't know, this would be crazy. Even if I was in a time loop, I'd be really hesitant to play the wolf in real life. Obviously in a game it's different, but I guess we'll have to see what happens at night, because we have to actually physically kill them too, right? It's not just, oh, we choose a target and they die like in the game. You have to actually go do it yourself. That being said, the people who you do kill generally can't fight back, right? They're like either paralyzed or like forced to be asleep. But I think they're generally like awake. It shows that they're awake when they die, so I could fall into traps set by humans too.
どう思う匠に。
狼が絶対に殺すって前提で話が進んでるのが気に食わねえが、殺されないならこっちも殺さないってのは分かる。
Yeah, I think everyone will agree, besides Kanzo. Oops, early charting.
おやっさんは
狼は確かに殺す。
そうかもしれねえがよ。
が、でけえのの言う
Yeah, it's just reasonable. That's crazy. Yes, definitely has some charisma if he's even convincing Kanzo, who literally never is convinced. Even when we are the snake and it's like almost 90% true. I mean, we were the snake, but it's like to the general audience, it was like fairly obvious we were when we revealed. What?
今日くくるかくくらんかで票取れ。
Yeah, even Harati shot.
それで
This is a new Kanzo. What if Kanzo is a guardian again, maybe? He's possibly had a guardian twice, though. I feel like it'd be nice for him to be a villager. Otherwise, he's always lucky, man. Because he was monkey and probably spider.
あ、忘れてた。君、猿は名乗り出ない理由がないって言ってたよね。
ええ。猿は相互証明できるから語られにくいし、それ以上の能力はないから、狼にも狙われる。
Is he gonna argue against that? Because I'm also for monkeys revealing themselves right away. Again, there are targets for wolves, but that means the wolves can't randomly snipe like an actual good guardian, so they're just really strong reveals.
なるほど。というわけで、僕は。
Okay. We are just revealing monkeys. I thought he was trying to argue against it, but obviously, again, he's smart, so he agrees with me. Okay, monkey reveal. He's monkey. I still don't think we kill him right away, but I don't mind killing him now, to be honest. It's not like sniping a good person with a guardian, but he's so smart. I feel like we should kill him. Well, it depends on whatever options we got. I would also be very fine with killing Osato. I generally don't want to, since he usually causes suspicion to himself, but because of his aggressive plays, I'm guessing he's a snake. Or like a snake told him that we're a werewolf. Like Rikako or something, but I feel like that's less likely.
ちなみに、もう一人の方は、ちょっと読みがわかりづらいのと、漢字が潰れててわかりづらかったけど、なんと
Who is
か
that?
さん。
Maybe the old wolf guy?
鴨志田近くの
Oh,
僕だ。僕は猿だ。僕は
again?
だ。
He was the monkey before, right? Wait, or was I wrong? Who was the monkey in the first route? I thought it was Mochi and someone else. Mochi and Beito, maybe? Fuck, I actually don't remember. That's weird he got monkey twice, though.
僕は何回言うのよ。
そっか。モッチーは猿だったんだ。
He's relieved. He doesn't have to suspect his friend. Pure relief. Yeah, exactly. Yes, Naruto was glad that his best friend was definitely not a wolf this time. Such behavior was a good way to guess whether someone was a wolf or not. Reactions are important.
橋本さんが新設ぶった狼じゃないってことが確かになったわけだが
So it's that mode, she's a monkey too. Again, they're like targets we can hit, but it's just we don't get a free snipe on a Guardian. Even if you get no Sato, you really want to hit the spider early too. They can fuck us up.
処刑を行うか行わない
違う今日くくるか死人が出るのを待ってくくるかい
Sorry, isn't that what Takumi just said? Yeah, literally. That's what Takumi said, Tanzo.
死人が出たらどうあっても一日一人くくるそう約束せ
That's fine. Oh, he's saying like, Takumi's like, should we lynch Day or not? And Tanzo's like, should we not lynch Day? Or should we lynch Day or wait for a wolf to kill, basically. So he's saying, I don't want to have another vote of not lynching after this, if they do kill.
あ
まあしょうがないんじゃない一方的に殺され続けるなんて納得できないでしょ
耐えばもええか
そうね
構わんのではないかね。
僕もいいです。
With no more counter-arguments, we began the vote. The results came quick. The only ones who voted to hang someone today were the old wolf guy and Tanzo. Okay. Not Nosato, so he kind of held back this time. Everyone else chose to wait until the wolves made a move, so we didn't hang anyone today. The dining hall was a much more pleasant place than it was in the morning. Yeah, without a giant pile of wolf corpses, or dog corpses, I think it was actually. Yasumizu was a place full of decent people who readily accepted the idea that they wouldn't have to kill anyone today. The same applied to the wolves, or so I thought, but they didn't look so good.
面白そうな学問だな。もうゼミには入ってるのかい？
ええ君吉先生っていう方で
Kimiyoshi? Higurashi reference? Probably not.
君吉さん。一度ラサでたまたま出会った日本人が大学の先生で、そんなお名前だったような。
That being said, I mean, I haven't looked it up, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some, that Higurashi did inspire some of this, just how similar they are. You know, remote village, murder. It's not exactly a murder mystery, but it kind of is. Looping, mysterious shrine maiden with powers. It's very Higurashi-like, so I don't know if they publicly said that it's inspired by it, but I wouldn't be surprised.
あその人ですよ専門がシナチベット語族なんでたびたび向こうに行ってるみたいです
What did Chiemi learn? Did we know what she learned in university? From the talk, it's either anthropology or what's it called when you dig up shit? Archaeologist, yeah.
なるほど。世界は狭いね。
That's just my guesses. I don't know if they announced it before. It probably would have been the first route if they did.
橋本さんや先生にとってはですよ
Another reason was Hashimoto-san. Once he stopped being silent, he turned out to be an extremely sociable and understanding. The dining hall would fall silent every now and then, so he walked around and talked to people, bolstering morale and seemingly naturally suited to the role. He wasn't exactly a jokester, but everyone who talked to him seemed to be having fun. He's a high target man. He'd even gotten a faint smile out of Haru-chan. I wasn't jealous or anything, you know. It is actually kind of crazy how he's like he's a outsider, but he's blending in so well. We couldn't pull that off. We just don't have the charisma, except for our Riz. The girls like us, well, most of them, but not with like the general villagers. I did wonder why Chiemi hadn't told me much about her specialty. Did we ever ask? And honestly, I had no right to be jealous. I'd already used my looping to get together with 2 women. True. No, doing what I did back then seemed the best thing to do in those situations, and Putting Haru-chan aside for a moment, both Shimi and Ritato-san were really charming. True. Shimi was a bit unhinged at her core, but Mitsuji wasn't all that different. Who? Who the fuck's Mitsuji? Oh, his girlfriend? His ex? Ritato-san was fun, and her two-faced nature was kind of attractive to me. It's goofy. I love it. So adorable. But while I really wasn't in a position to think about what came after the mist cleared,
春明様とお話ししたい。
あ、すみません。ちょっとこっちが立て込んでて。
you're getting friend zoned this time.
すみません。失礼しました。
It might be a little sus though, because this is taking in the second root's introduction. So we were super friendly, so maybe seeing us being way more reserved might cause some alarm bells on both Shami and Ritato. I was making dinner with Kaori-san. I had invited her to do it so we would be both fed and ready for tomorrow. Of course, this was to distract her from reality. I didn't want her unpleasant nature to take over and make her throw actonite into the food, so I took it upon myself to cut the veggies. As I worked, I watched what was going on at the dining hall. I could see most of their faces from the counter. Last time, the first day was relatively peaceful, but this day was even more relaxed. Tai-san's incessant prayers and Kanzo-san's continual state of high alert made it a bit uncomfortable, but that was it. One reason for the good atmosphere here was the fact that no one had died yet, so it was still possible that it was just some sort of sick joke. Another reason was the presence of the one who died all the previous times, Hashimoto-san. He was a master at helping everyone lighten up. I could even include Mamiya-san as a reason. Yeah, when she's not unhinged. Hashimoto-san was alive and she wasn't a wolf this time, so she wasn't hysterical like the previous loop. Though she was writing something with a troubled frown on her face.
キューちゃんは取材のまとめかい？
記事にするかはわからないから、今のところはノーで。ただ、興味深いことは興味深いですね。
オカルト？
ええ。あまり日本的じゃないなと思いまして、ここの話。
She did mention that last time.
ほう、それはちょっと興味あるな。
これ続けても大丈夫です？村の伝説に私なんかが講釈をして不快だったりしません？
どうかな。私は普通に興味ありますけど。
俺は別に興味ねえ。
But we know you don't give a damn.
でも、まあ暇だし。
You, I don't know if you should be. That's too religious talk.
りっちゃんは？一応こういうの担当でしょ？
いえ。真珠は身車家の役です。でも、そうですね。私も、少し興味があります。
Things were going just like they had last time. Everyone was interested in what she had to say, so she revealed her knowledge about god slaying and servant worship. Susanoo beating Orochi, Aesop's Fables, Yomotsu Utami, aka Izanami. I know about... Well, I've heard of Aesop Fables, I've never read it. I know about the Izanami story, kind of. I don't know about Susanoo beating Orochi. Love reference? No, I'm joking. But there's a... If you've watched the Love series, there's this giant mech called Susanoo, which is like humanity's last hope. Or something, but Susanoo's like the god of the sword or war or something like that, and Orochi's a giant snake. We do know that because of Rants. There's an Orochi in the Rants verse. Then Tai-san became upset just like last time. The only difference was that I wasn't involved in the conversation.
OK です。ここまでにしましょう。ただ、ちょっと気になることが一つありまして。ここで歌われているわらべ歌みたいな歌について教えていただきたいんです。
Are we gonna hear it again? The banger? Let Meiko sing it? Oh, she herself mentioned it, huh? It led to just about the same words as last time. Mami-san pointed out how the alerts had a lot to do with the feast. She began questioning parts she didn't understand, such as the badger, and Kyonosuke, among others, answered her. Are they gonna come up with the badger thing already? I forgot when they said the badger appeared, either after the first night or the second night.
興味深い話だけど。ムジナだけ今に残っていないのは不自然で気になるな。
The thing I pointed out last time was now pointed out by Hashimoto-san. Damn it, dude. They're not and maybe with Hashimoto's charisma, they might actually believe the badger role when they didn't believe us last round. He and Mami-san continued examining the relationship between prayer to Shin'nai and the feast. Tai-san mentioned that the badger was a servant of the Utami-sama, and that there was a statue in the Shin'nai shrine. She also talked about the late Gensan's words, the badgers waiting for the Utami-sama to return.
なんだかいる気がするな。ムジナは
Yeah,
この中に。
we have to get rid of him soon. I think I would still go for Nosato if they let us. The only bad thing about killing Nosato is they might be like, oh, Nosato was accusing Haruaki, so maybe we should lynch him today. Which would be bad, but if he is the snake, I think it's worth than letting him just stick around. He raised the same suspicion as I had.
牧島さんが前の宴に参加してたってことなら、その源さんという方も参加してた可能性が高そうだし。
But if Gen believes in the badger, I wonder why Tanzo didn't.
その時にムジナが出てきたから、遠回しな言い方で警告を残したのかもしれない。
なんですそれ橋本さん。推測ですよね。
そうだね。少し決め手にかけるかな。
Now it was time for something new.
狼、よもつ狼、狼。橋本さん、私、
Oh?
すごいことに気づいたかもしれません。
何かな。
今更なんですが、神内明神の神内という名の由来ってどなたかご存知ですか？
She'd been curious about this in Kami Fujiyoshi too. What of it though?
新内さんは公式には猿なし山
We're
という
getting...
名らしいからね。
Well, I don't know if this is kanji. Last time it wasn't
なし
kanji.
がなしに置き換わったのだろ
違いますよ、野里様。新内様は
It is kanji,
昔から
okay.
新内様。
That made sense since they're talking modern, kinda.
読めんからって、お上が
Well, the other language on the
変えたと
rolls
聞いてますよ。
is given by gods, so they would use an older language, right?
う。逆か。
つまりもともと神内だった。山脇さん、その語源については？
知りませんね。
多分、これは漢字トリックです。
Kanji trick. Mami-san ripped out a page from her notepad and put it on the table.
神内。内の漢字は大と示す
Bid
で
show.
なっています。
It was the bid show all along? What's he doing out in Japan? She wrote the relevant kanji. Sorry, that was a wrestling reference.
これを組み替えると、
Is he? I think he's dead, actually. It's been a while. I used to watch wrestling when I was a kid. She then wrote down the kanji for bid, then show to the right of it, and shin to the right. The result was that.
神の武士は示す編。実際に旧字は神だし、つまりこれは狼。神内様イコール
Ooh.
狼様ということじゃないでしょうか。
Maybe Shin'nai is Team Wolf then. What?
バカなことを。
Maybe the wolves are the good guys. I wasn't feeling it just as, but I mean, they have been posing the question of what side is Shin'nai on. But this is just a theory still, so that probably would mean more for people who can actually read kanji. But for me, I get it. It's like a word thing. Tai-san shouted hysterically. You could hear it in her voice that she was shaken up. Of course she would be. According to Yasumizu's legend, the humans and the servants killed the wolves, the Utami-sama. However, it reinforced my theory. I had lots of clues that led me to think that Utami and Great Lord Shin'nai were one and the same. His use of corruption was one thing. Another thing was the fact that he was neutral in the battle between humans and wolves, or Yomibito and wolves. Yet another thing was the local outlook on life and death. If people went to Yomi upon death, they would go there regardless if they were hanged or killed by wolves. That was why they said rise not. It meant go to Yomi and don't return. However, in the Shin'nai faith, the mountain was a place where corpses were buried. So it wasn't strange for it to be considered the same as the world of the dead. Okay, let me decipher this. So, they usually reference the mountain itself as Shin'nai, like that's a great god, and he's saying like if they're burying them there, then maybe the mountain is Yomi, which would kind of tie Shin'nai to the wolves. Is that what they're trying to say? I don't know.
根の国?
I know she becomes the goddess of hell.
黄泉の別名よ。
Yeah, okay. Underworld, hell, whatever.
海の向こうにあるとも言うし、根の国に黄泉という場所があるとも言うけど。
Maybe I was reading into this too deeply, but Ne no Kuni, country of roots, gave me the image of the underground of a tree-covered mountain.
待て待て、そりゃこじつけじゃねえのか。第一、狼を隠す必要なんてどこにある。
それこそ大神神社と差別化を図ったのかもしれないし、神道に組み込むために難解にひねったのかもしれない。あるいは信仰を隠す必要があったとか。
信仰を隠すですか？
例えば狼様を大っぴらに信仰できないような状況があって、その信仰を隠す必要があるとき。
They twisted it. And I wonder if the people from Kami Fujiyoshi knows about this. And they're purposely putting people in Yasumizu as like a sacrifice to Utami for their religion. That could be interesting.
別の信仰の形をとって信仰を守る。例えば江戸期のキリシタン禁止下におけるマリア観音とかね。それに神様の一の使いが神様本人
I know
と混同
Christians
され
used to
る
be persecuted in Japan though.
衝突を恐れずに言うと、伝説や神話はよそからの拝借だけじゃなく、政治的な要因も強く影響して変遷していくの。
Sure, yeah.
古代神話と政治は強固に結びついていたからこそ、政治のあり方が変わるときは神話も形を変えなきゃならなかった。集落の合体によってそれぞれが奉じていた神様が結婚したり、戦争で併合された側の神様が古文や魔物に変えられたり。
I don't know examples of that, but this does sound logical. I mean, just looking at like stuff you do know, like obviously Christianity, which you can consider a myth or whatever, was like obviously highly tied to governments. You know, in the early times, like kings were blessed by God, and that's why they had the right to rule over people. Sort of like that.
あるいはかつて別々だった神様を同じ存在だってことにしたりね。そうやって力関係の辻褄を合わせたわけ。強力な神や悪魔ほど意匠や変化、化身がたくさんあるのはそのため。忘れられた信仰がいくつもそこに融合されているの。今日残っているのはそういった事情でねじ曲がって伝えられてきた伝承や神話。だから多少の矛盾があるのは当然よ。だからもちろん真実はわからないけど、 これで信内モーデの歌を読み解くと、だいぶ意味が変わってきそう。何しろ、歌には狼とお守りの対立関係が書かれてない。
That was true.
例えば、狼イコール信内さんは、未だに4つ、いや、5つのお守りと友好的かつ絶対的な主従関係にあり。
This isn't like a battle between them, but just a ritual. Like all the sacrifices for Shin'nai. That would be interesting.
怪しい読み人と人間に吹き込み、加護を与えることで相争わせているとかかしら。
And they're all Yomibito, so they're giving them motivation to like purge themselves, maybe? She went that far with this audience? It's a little risky, but I get what she's saying, I think. That is interesting. Like, if we're all Yomibito, then this is God's way of like purging them. By pitting them against each other with roles and stuff.
すみません。さすがにそこまでおっしゃられるとあまり愉快ではございません。
Yeah, you're kind of like dumping on their faith a little bit.
そうよ。よう知りもせんと。
It is all just a theory, but it's very compelling coming from her. Naturally, Rikato-san and Tai-san had something to say about that.
ああ、これはすみません。僕らとしては、伝説や神話に信憑性があると思ってるから、こうして出なきゃ、そもそもこんなことに参加してもいないし、外に出るだの、警察に訴えるだの、騒いでいるでしょ
う。私がその役してますね、今。
芹沢さんは半信半疑ってところかな。実のところ今ここに完全に疑ってる人はいないと思いますよ。ただ、ムジナは伝説から抜け落ちかけていた。伝説も宴のルールも同じく口伝によって伝えられています。
How a role's just not being passed down for whatever reason. Maybe it's just they want the wolves to win because it's the best way of purging the most people.
一番怖いのは、伝承に詳しい山脇さんや植松さんがご出念されていることが他にないかということですね。
そんなものないとは確かに断じがたいですが。
Too bad we don't have a Midoruma here, who would be like the proper lore masters for the religion.
植松様。じゃが。
まあ、ただ話はそんなに難しくはないと思うんですよ。織部安永くんだったかな。
あ、はい。
僕らはさっき、人は嘘をつかないという方針を打ち出したけども。
They should be able to lie. I mean, I don't agree that the human side shouldn't lie at all. Like, if you have a guardian, I think they should have the option to lie.
もし、人であるにもかかわらず、狼に組みする。
Oh, yeah, that's just a contradiction.
ムジナが
To
現
stir
れ
the
た場合。
pot. We don't even, like, we know Haru is the badger for the first one. I'm not even still convinced that the wolf guy was the badger. Because he seems to be always aggro on hanging people and stuff. Might just be crazy. But I guess we'll see eventually.
その人はきっと、狼様のために嘘をつくか、あるいは暴れたりとかすると思うんだが、どう思うかな。
そうですね。ムジナがどうとかがなくても、そのケースは危惧するべき。
It's always better to be safe than sorry. But also, again, we're Team Wolf, so we don't want them to be safe.
でも、それは。
嘘つきや暴れた奴は、たとえ人でも狼の味方。だから問答無用でくくればいい。そういうこったろ。
Wonder if Yoshitsuru's trying to be a free kill again from the corruption. Or is he gonna change also because of Hashimoto's presence? Yoshitsuru-kun, who'd been sitting up at the corner of the room and staring at a wall in boredom, suddenly spoke up. He wasn't wronged in the least, which was probably intended. By Hashimoto-san.
どうやら本格的に後ろめたいことはしない方が良さそうですね。
I mean, even if you are the badger, they haven't really indicated, like, since they're still considered a villager, do the wolves still have to kill them at the end, or would they win with the wolves? Because I assume they can also just win with the villagers if the wolves are hanged, right? But I'm not 100% sure.
それは確か。
言われんでも、あたしたちは、これまで誠実に生きてきましたわいね。親内様はいつも見ておられる。
いいですね、素朴で。人間性にまっすぐ訴えるような信仰だ。
I feel that way about a lot of religions. I'm not very religious, even though I'm technically Catholic. But I'm a non-practicing Catholic. I have no problems with the religion. I know some people, like, hate them and, like, we're like, oh, the world would be a better place without them, which might be true. But I think just the fact that it gives people, like, a moral code to follow and, like, creates a pseudo community for people is just, like, a general benefit. Now that can change depending on how extreme the religion is, obviously, but I think in general it's fine that people have that sort of, like, outlook, like, have a way to, like, follow morals, and it kind of keeps people in check in a way, and it, like, again, builds a sense of community with a bunch of different people. So I'm chill with the religious homies in general. Obviously, like, if it's more like a cult thing, then that's, like, the worst of religion, right? But in general, I think it's pretty chill, at least in this day and age. Obviously, back in the day, it was a lot more extreme, but now it's, I would say most of the major religions are pretty chill. For the general people. Obviously, there are always extremists in, like, every group, right? With that, I finally understood something. Yudai Hashimoto was the same type of person as me. He controlled people through speech and manipulated their emotions through words to put himself in an advantageous position. And I would argue he does it better, since he just has better charisma. And like Haruaki says, we're more of a scumbag, so it kind of shows more. But yeah, he's definitely a good people's person. The difference between us was that his conscious presence and persuasiveness were far above mine. And he was a human, an enemy to us wolves. Haru-chan was in a seat near Yasunaga-kun and Mochi's, not saying a word. Pretending to pick something up from the counter, I crouched down and looked at Kaori-san. With her back to everyone, she cut veggies, and though her expression wasn't as bad as before, it was still full of anguish and unease. Time passed by as everyone chatted, ate a large dinner than ever before, chatted a bit more, then split up. The only notable thing was the moment when Mamiya-san tried to ask Kanzo about the previous feast. Hashimoto-san stopped her, though. I noticed Haru-chan make a face, and part of me was relieved by that. The previous feast took her parents, and it was the time she went into the mist and lived to tell the tale. It'd have been bad if she'd gone crazy again. Hashimoto-san seemed to have noticed that possibility, so he stopped Mamiya-san to prevent it. Was it really to help him survive? Well, I mean, it's bad for the game, but we wouldn't be a wolf if he did help him survive, right? This is all just information gathering at this point. Though if we're playing a game, I'm there to win it. I'm not just gonna throw it, right? A part of me actually believed that. Sure, without him I'd been human and survived the feast, but it didn't solve anything. Becoming a wolf and making an enemy out of him was just an unfortunate side effect that came with letting him live. And I just had to accept that. After dinner, right when everyone was preparing to split up, Hashimoto-san whispered something to Takumi-san. Takumi-san's expression suddenly turned serious.
みんな、ちょっといいか。
Apparently Hashimoto-san had told him to should say something. Two grammatical errors in this episode. Sloppy. No, it's alright. Or unless I'm just reading it wrong. Apparently Hashimoto-san had told him to shouldn't be there. Told him to say something, and Takumi-san did exactly that.
今日俺たちは誰もくくらなかった。だからこの中に狼がいるとしても今夜誰も殺さないことを俺は期待したい。そうすれば明日もくくらないで済む。ありえん。
Yep. I'm pretty sure the wolves just die if they don't hang anyone, right? Because of corruption. So that might be an option, so it's worth testing, I guess.
そうなったらこの中の誰かには明日の朝もう会えねえことになる。これでお別れになる。そのことは肝に銘じて悔いのないよう言いたいことは言っておけよ。
That's kind of sweet. The bright mood suddenly changed. The mood turned heavy as everyone exchanged handshakes and gave their thanks to each other. Chemi, Haru-chan, even Yoshitsuru-kun became teary-eyed as Kairi-san said these words to her sons. If I'm gone tomorrow, live strong, you two. She is a wolf, but her words were so honest that they both listened without a word. The village heads here seemed lonely, giving Tai-san and Takumi-san fuel for doubt, while Mochi talked to the old wolf guy. The bros. It was a moment when their relationships became very clear. One particularly impactful moment was when Haru-chan approached her lonely-looking grandfather. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting if he's alive by the time it's revealed she's a wolf. Her eyes were still red from her goodbyes to Yasunada-kun and Mochi.
おじいちゃん、もし私が明日起きてこなかったら。
そんなことは起きん。
For a moment, it looked like he knew what she was, but then...
嘘。狼は必ず殺すって言ってたじゃん。おじいちゃんは春にだけ嘘をつく。優しくしてるつもり？
Yep. Kenzo-san didn't know how to respond, a rarity for him.
そういうのいいから聞いて。私が死んだら、私が死んでもお酒とか飲みすぎないようにしてね。
They're putting on good acts. It's actually a very good cover for them, so I'm happy about that. I'm not gonna suspect them right away, at least. Or even if the snake isn't Osato and they're investigating, I don't think they would investigate Haru right away. Or Kaori. I guess it just depends who is the snake. If it's not Nosato, and I'm just wrong. Kanto-san slowly extended his hand to her, but it was too late. Haru-chan had already turned around. A grandfather and granddaughter, both awkward beyond belief. After watching their exchange, I was actually relieved that Haru-chan didn't say anything she shouldn't have, which made me question my own humanity again. Yasunada-kun must have been in a similar state of mind the first time. Feeling sympathy for the first wolf I'd encountered, I gave Chiemi an approach to give her goodbyes to me, some half-hearted nice words. I'd done the same for Rikato-san, who finished the exchange with a silent but resolute farewell.
昼間のことは許してあげるから。
Wasn't my fault, but okay.
もし明日会えなくてもわだかまりはなしかい？
うん。
That was that with Haru-chan. The disgrace on my name was cleared, and she now neither disliked or liked me. We'll take it.
時間取らせてすまねえな。それじゃあみんなおやすみ。
Takumi-san nonchalantly concluded the event. Everyone silently began leaving the dining hall.
うさいしさんも戻ってください。
We were done with the after-dinner cleanup, so I had no reason to stay behind. I didn't sense anyone in the mist, but that was because I couldn't... Oh wait, I didn't sense anyone in the mist, but that was because I just couldn't, not because there was no one there. Everyone was probably using this as a chance to have the secret thoughts they couldn't, or just silently listening for those. It was probably a good idea to thank him. Hashimoto? I heard someone's voice near the stairs to the dorm. Mamiya-san was talking to Hashimoto-san right where she died last time.
どのくらい本気です？
少なくとも僕ら以外は皆本気だと思う。というジャーナリストならみんな知ってる。この世で一番怖いのは人間だよ。
ええ、オカルト絡みでも本当に人が死んだ証拠があるのは人が殺した場合だけですからね。
すみません。
I considered eavesdropping, but it'd have been bad if they noticed, so I called out.
ふさわしくびっくりした。
すみません。橋本さん、昼の
You
時は
saved
あり
me.
がとうございます。
Non-ironically, we might have died if no one stuck up for us. I'm sure we had some protection, like Rikato probably wouldn't vote us and Shami, but it was a little sketchy.
何かやったかな。
あのままだと、なし崩し的に僕が殺されていたかもしれませんから。
ああ、ははは。まあ、君が殺されたら、
Probably true.
次は僕らって
Kill all the outsiders first. Minus Meito. Can't kill Meito, man. I'm not killing her. I said it before. I will literally never vote to kill her. Unless it's the end of the route and we're just clearing up all the bad ends. But I'm not touching her.
いやいや、君には霧が出るところをちょうど助けてもらった恩もあるし、なんならこれ
We
で
did save it. You know, life for life. Fair trade deal.
わかりました。しかし、本当に夜出歩いたらまずいのでしょうか。
Ooh, is he baiting them to die from corruption?
さっき私が言ったわ。
やめておいた方がいいね。こんなノームは僕も経験したことがない。それに村の皆さんがそれを絶対的な禁忌と感じている以上、
Fair.
霧よりも彼らの方
It's a
が
fair
危険か
assessment.
もしれない。
彼らが襲ってくると？
ん？いやいや、ははは。そんな、ただ信じる心というのは幻を見せることも多々ある。信じる人に囲まれれば僕らもやがてその中に入ってしまう。そんな中では努めて別のことを考えて気を紛らわせるのが最上っていうのが僕の経験則でね。
Those were some meaningful words.
橋本さんは伝説云々を信じてはいないんですね。
信じる信じないは考えていないよ。それは
He's just trying to live for his family. Playing it safe, it's smart.
ね、Q ちゃん。
どうでしょうね。記事にできそうな気はし
It
ない
would
で
be a
すけ
hell
ど
of an artist, though. Especially if deaths did happen. That'd be a crazy novel. Based on a real story, literally.
穏やかにここから離れられれば、それに越したことはないんだ。
なるほど。そうなるといいですね。
That was the end. I bid them good night and went on my own way. I hadn't met anyone else on my way back to the prefab. Yoshitsugu-kun didn't invite me to go out at night, and neither Chiemi nor Rikato visited to have a talk. They were probably satisfied with the goodbyes in the dining hall. Everyone used their struggle at this time because they hadn't felt like they'd done everything they had to. This time was different, though. Everyone was calmly waiting for the wolves to strike, fully ready for it. The humans were in perfect mental state. There was nothing for them to worry about, which is bad for us, and it was all because of Hashimoto-san. He's carrying. Should have been us, man. Why couldn't we carry hard? Oh, we did. We did. I mean, even though it ended in disaster last route, we did, beat the game with a pretty minimal amount of deaths, right? We had, a hard majority still, so I would say it's successful. It's just, obviously, post-game, couldn't really do anything about it. Then there was the exchange just now.
Ah, ははは。まあ、君が殺されたら、次は僕らってことになりそうだったしね。
To me, that sounded like I didn't do it for your sake.
いやいや、君には霧が出るところをちょうど助けてもらった恩もあるし、なんならこれでチャラにしようじゃないか。
Oh wow, a call from Florida. Yeah, I'm not gonna answer that. You sure helped us at a strange time, huh? I didn't actually interpret it that way, but I guess it could be. Does he already suspect us? Or at least he thinks we have some knowledge about it, since we are supposed to be, like, fresh like him. He seemed reasonably suspicious of me. That's crazy. Oh man. Was I just overthinking it? No, that would be overly optimistic. I honestly didn't catch that second part like Haraki did, but that's smart of him. Yeah, we should be really careful around him. He's too powerful. It was clear to me that he had made it past the first day better than anyone so far, even myself. If he was that talented, he must have already analyzed the situation and noticed that something was strange. They happened to have their tires burst, then be given rooms and gotten caught up in the feast. It was clearly orchestrated, and I was the only one who stood out as a suspect. I'd been chosen by a village head, joined them in their van, and actively gave them a place to sleep. That does sound suspicious when he summarizes the events. Oh man. I guess I just wasn't thinking about that since that was the last route, right? And obviously we didn't have bad intentions, but now we're the wolf, it is a lot more sus. The situation was made even worse by the fact that they were right and that I was a wolf. Since I couldn't mention the looping, I couldn't really say that I was their savior. Not only that, but he was the monkey. He'd secured a good role and relationship with the others and had a surprisingly keen eye and mind. He'd have been an extremely reliable ally. I'd really appreciated it when he presented the idea that we shouldn't hang anyone today. After all, at that moment, just like Kanto-san, I thought that not hanging anyone was foolish. Thus, I thought he was foolish too. Oops. But now, because of his idea, everyone became somewhat ready to accept someone's death, and to unify to defeat the wolves responsible. He'd also succeeded in preventing the lynching way smoother than I. I could only create a stalemate while he actually taught the people into voting for or against hanging. He's just us, but better. It is what it is. We're cooked. Kanda-san didn't want to look like he broke, so he hadn't changed his opinion, but he was still pretty accepting of the idea not to hang anyone. Hashimoto-san did it with great finesse. There was something I couldn't do. Excuse me. We'd eventually find out if it was a good thing or not, or rather they decide based on what we wolves did today. However, I already felt like I was falling behind them. Would I really have to defeat him? There was Mamiya-san too. She was way more stable and smart than last time. The way she pointed out that Shin'nai was probably Ukami or Great God showed she would be extremely useful in finding out the truth, so maybe we should just avoid killing her. She wasn't really on my hit list, but yeah, keeping her alive might help us on our lore gathering quest. She'd also noticed and mentioned the badger without my help. She'd probably noticed it last time too, but hadn't mentioned it because she was a wolf. This time, with Hashimoto-san's suggestion, they decided that they would hang all liars regardless if they were wolves or the badger. That was a smart move. It kept the humans from lying just for the sake of it and countered the badger whether it existed or not. They were a pretty balanced pair. Mamiya-san was blunt and straightforward, while Hashimoto-san gently reproved her and provided only the best solutions. They were a much better team than I'd expected, and the fact that they were enemies was pretty bad for us. As a wolf, I had to consider the other humans too, especially the Ribe brothers. After all, their mother, the demon who tried to kill everyone and swallowed her last words for their sake, was a wolf this time. If I didn't go about this the right way, I would be the one to die. Haru-chan probably wouldn't want to kill Yasunada or Mochi either. I think I talked about this last episode. We can't really kill the brothers or Mochi right away. I don't even think she would want to kill Tanzo either, so... Which kind of sucks since Yasunada and Tanzo are like some high priority targets, even Mochi, so... But we have to play it right. Just just kill people that don't matter to them until they get used to it, I guess. Kanza-san was her family too, but I wasn't sure about the relationship. Still, I didn't think she'd want to kill him. And finally, could I really kill Chiemi and Rikato-san? I could, but I would be sad about it. Though it was all made void by the looping, they liked me and I liked them. Would I really whisper sweet nothings to them during the day, only to kill them at night? It's kind of crazy. I didn't want to do that. No Meiko? No other people? We'll stop here though. As much as I want to do the killing, it would probably take a considerable amount of time, and we're almost at the hour mark. So we'll save the killing for next time. But this was a good episode. We've really seen the power of Hashimoto, and we got some new lore. Maybe I was wrong in thinking that Shin'nai was actually Team Human, because I was more leaning to Shin'nai's Team Human, and the wolves thing is just a lie by the wolves. But Mamiya did give some pretty good information. That makes it kind of compelling that, from what I said before, my pet theory is that we're all considered quote unquote Yomibito, and this whole ritual is just to purge us, in a way, pitting us against each other, as a a religious ritual thing for Shin'nai. I think might be the answer, and maybe the people from Kami Fujiyoshi knows about it, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Raging Loop, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe and comment, etc., etc. I feel like I haven't said that in a while, but as a YouTuber, you gotta say that once in a while, right? But yeah, I appreciate all you viewers, and I will see you next time for the kill. Exciting stuff. Who will they give us? Again, if they give us Nosato, I'm probably just gonna bite on it. I wouldn't mind trying to kill Hashimoto at this point. It's a little unfair, since I kind of want to see him game, because he does seem like a really good player, but he is kind of our highest threat, and it doesn't really affect Haru and Tairi like some of the other high priority targets might. But yeah, we'll see next time. Bye.